All right, here it is, my Notion video. This video has been probably the most requested video ever, and totally understandable because I talk about Notion so much in my other videos, saying how I use it for work, I use it for this, I use it for that, and truly the longer that I've used Notion, the more integrated I've made it into my life. Like, I truly use it to organize my entire life now. So while I was planning this video, I was like, I'm just gonna reach out to Notion, see if they want to collab with me on this project. So huge thank you to Notion for sponsoring this video. It's honestly such a blessing for creators that brands like you exist, because not only do you support us in the planning of our videos, and you've created this amazing system for us to organize our lives, our projects, everything, but also you're a company that truly supports creators and their craft. You let us have our creative freedom, and you're happy to help us out when we need. So huge thank you to Notion. I'm so excited to be working with them and showing you guys how I organize my Notion setup today. I will also be going over how my team, Zest, uses Notion to organize their projects and work collaboratively. It's pretty cool, I will not lie, so I'm very excited to go through that aspect with you as well. But okay, let's just jump in. This is my Notion. I guess I'll start here. This is the home to my Notion, and I'm just gonna throw this disclaimer out there. I by no means created any of these things or thought up any of these systems by myself. I definitely took a lot of inspiration from other creators and other Notion videos when I was designing and putting together my Notion workspace. So this is my home. There's a lot to my, here we go. You see on the side, there's a lot to my workspace, so I'm gonna try to get through it as quickly as possible while also trying to make sure that I'm covering everything. But here's my home. This is kind of where everything is. This is where I plan everything. This is kind of the start of it all. You can see all of it here. So I start out with my North Star. Actually, before I talk about that, one thing that I found out from, I think it was Twirling Pages, I believe that's her handle, but one thing I found out is that you can actually put GIFs as backgrounds as well as for the icon. And the way that you guys can do this is if you just go into giphy.com and then you search up, let's say I want to do star, and you search up star and then you go to stickers. You can actually find a lot of these transparent star GIFs, which are great for those icons. So that is kind of where I got a lot of my icons. So starting with this page, I start with my North Star. Why am I doing what I'm doing? My purpose. This includes my 2021 manifesto, which are some goals and things to keep in mind for the year. So I keep this here so that I can easily remind myself of why I'm doing the work that I'm doing, as well as the kind of person that I want to be this year, the kind of goals that I want to achieve this year, and it's just quickly accessible. This 2020 annual review I actually took from Ali Abdal, and he is the king of organization. I'm gonna put his Notion video in the description box for you guys so you guys can check it out. But as you guys can see, I have not filled this out yet. This is literally still just the template that I took from his video. I keep it here because it's something that I've been meaning to do, but I don't know exactly if that template is how I want to organize my annual review yet. So I just keep it there just kind of as inspiration. And then next to that, I have a little to-do list. So this is just kind of random to-dos that I want to keep, on top of mind, like finishing my Italian homework for next week. I then have my brain dump. So this is actually linked to my projects board. And my projects board, I'll go into later because it's one of the bigger parts of my Notion, is where I organize all of my projects outside of my work projects. And essentially what this brain dump does is it allows me to quickly brain dump or brainstorm ideas. So for example, if I need to be like, I need to do a Notion video thumbnail. I can quickly type these tasks and brain dumps into this area, and it will actually bring it into my project board, into my brain dump area. So then when I'm going in to actually look at my Kanban boards and start to complete my tasks, I know that those tasks are there and I can remember them, and then I can just quickly move them into, you know, my priority list or my pipeline list or whatever. More on that later. Next is the section I call my pillars. So just some things that I'm doing for my life. Dream life, again, is something I took from another YouTuber. This is actually by Twirling Pages. I haven't really completely filled that out yet, but I'll show you guys that page as well. I have my Italian lessons, so learning Italian, that's something that I'm trying to do right now. I have my books pillar, I have my fitness log. Next to that, I have my resources. So these are all of my work-related things. So my projects board, my YouTube board, my Cashew board, which is my work, my 9 to 5, and then some fonts. So some fonts that I've been loving. I'm trying to create a database of fonts that I download to my computer so that in the future, when I switch computers or for whatever reason I lose those fonts, I can still find them and know which ones I loved. I have my life section, which includes, like, you know, all my lifestyle related things. So grocery list, recipes, wish list, coffee, Mika, days, monthly, and then memorable moments. So quotes that spoke to me. There's nothing in here right now. But I have been tracking some quotes that spoke to me within my books section, which I'll show you guys later. And then my monthly spread. So this is for April, which again, I will show you guys in a bit, but I want to do this in somewhat of an order. Okay, so I think I'm going to start with my dream life board since it's right on the top of my pillars list. This is, again, a template I took from Twirling Pages. I'll put her video in the description below. I've only made a few edits to this so far. So most of these things are things from her exact template. So this picture, for example, these 2 photos, actually these 3 photos, I've changed a few things. But essentially, these are my overarching, bigger goals that I want to manifest. For example, my body, what I want that to look like, you know, some affirmations, your current goal, how to make that happen. I added my fitness log in here so I can track what I'm doing. And so it's just a space for me to really build out that goal a little bit more. I have it for mind, soul, which I haven't edited, and then location. So this is the other goal that I'm trying to manifest, which is where I want to end up in life, because I don't think I want to stay in Vancouver, but that's like a whole nother thing. So I've just started to build out what this board will look like, you know, what the goal is, how to make that happen, and what is the financial plan to get there. As you can see, it's not built out yet, but I wanted to show you guys this template so you guys can see what is possible with Notion. And of course, once again, I'm linking her video in the description box because full credits to her. She built that out and you guys can get that template from her. The next page in my pillars is my Learning Italian board, and I've separated this into 2 sections. The lessons itself, so the notes that I took from each lesson. So for example, this is my lesson from February 24th. I learned come stai, which is how are you, sto bene, which means I'm good, non sto bene, not good, etc., etc. And so the notes all get collected here, and then I break those out into their own individual categories. So like basic Italian, I've broken it down into basic conversation, as well as infinitive verbs and conjugations. So this is, yeah, that's gonna get long. But I essentially wanted to organize my notes in such a way where it'd be easy for me to go back and look for specific things if I needed to. Next thing is my books page. So this is where I keep track of my reading. I have here, as you can see, my currently reading, which are the books that I am meant to be reading right now. My next up, which is the books that I want to read after I finish my currently reading. And then I have my bookshelf here. I haven't put covers to all of my books yet, but for example, like this is a book that I'm reading right now. I created a couple of properties to organize it by. So status, whether it's reading, listening, completed, ended, whether I've written a book report, so that's just like a yes or a no check mark. The cover, which is what shows on my actual bookshelf, date finished, date started, and the genre, as well as the rating of the book. I've also created 2 templates for my book reports. So for example, this one, This one here is a nonfiction book, so I would click nonfiction book report. And essentially, it would just showcase my nonfiction book report. So the book in 3 sentences, my impressions on it, how I discovered it, who should read it, how the book changed me, my top 3 quotes, and just overall notes. And then if you go to like this one, for example, this is my fiction book report, which includes name and author, number of pages, story info, like characters, plot, setting, etc., and then notes. So I have those 2 distinct book reports, obviously because I read a lot of fiction as well as nonfiction, and I just wanted to separate out what information I'm trying to pull from those books. The bookshelf part is essentially kind of my favorite part of this page. The actual database looks like this. It's just a table view. It has the name of the book, date started, date finished, etc., etc. A key here to getting it showing the title as well as the like genre, for example, or if you want to change that, is if you go into the settings and you go into properties, you can select what shows. So for example, I selected name, genre, rating, and status. So for example, these ones, you see a rating, you see the genre, the status, and then every time I change it, you would be able to see it right on the bookshelf, but you can kind of change what information you want to show in the gallery, and then you can have the card preview show the cover, which is one of the properties, which is what's going to show the, the covers on the bookshelf itself. The next page is my fitness log, which you guys saw. It was linked to my Dream Life body section, but essentially this is just where I keep track of how or when I worked out. Clearly I haven't been tracking, or maybe I haven't been working out yet in April, but I started tracking a little bit in March. So you can see on the 3rd I did Pilates, on the 4th I did Pilates, and I had a walk. On the 8th, I played tennis, etc., etc. And again, this is a view of a database that Notion provides. So this is the calendar view. The database itself, again, is just a table. So you always kind of want to start out with a table so that you can set out what kind of properties you want to track, like what information you want to have in your database. Here I have the fitness type name, type of workout, date, length of time, and toughness, so that when you go into the calendar, you can actually click into each individual workout and you can fill out the properties, and then you can also take some notes if you want to about that workout. So yeah, this is how I've been organizing my fitness log. This is one of the newer boards that I've added to my Notion workspace. But that's also kind of the thing with Notion. I feel like it's constantly a work in progress. Like I'm constantly trying to improve my boards, improve the information that I collect in it, as well as make it prettier and suit my aesthetic at the time. So this might change in like 6 months to a year, but currently this is how I lay it out. I'll go through projects, which is a big one. Here is where I organize all of my projects that are non-Kashoo or 9-to-5 related. So you can see here, I keep my projects in several different columns on my Kanban. I have a keeps column, which is essentially just notes or things that I want to keep, like resources. I have a no status. This no status is where that brain dump section in my homepage links to. So you can see here, Notion video thumbnail, where I typed it in that brain dump section. It brings it into the no status column of my Kanban. Then I have brainstorm, and what that means is once I'm ready to build this idea out a little bit more, I can drag it into brainstorm and actually start putting some notes in. So maybe I can say, include a screenshot of my boards, etc., or something like that. Then once I'm kind of finished with the brainstorming process, I actually pull that into my next actions. And then from there, I like to make sure that I'm including a next action. So being like, I'm gonna do to do, import some photos related to working. So once it's in this next action column, this means I've done the thinking and I'm ready for this to be completed, like the task itself. So my next actions is actually kind of like my pipeline of things I want to move into my priority, which my priority are the things that I want to get done that day or like that weekend or whatever it may be. The waiting for column is essentially the things that I've completed and I'm just waiting for somebody else's action. So whether it's approvals, whether it's a project that needs somebody else's eyes on, whatever it could be, all of those get pulled into waiting for until they're ready to be worked on again. Then I can pull them back into priority or next actions. Someday maybe I've filtered out here, but essentially my someday maybe column is just all the tasks that I someday maybe want to do. Like it could be traveling, it could be write a book, whatever it is. I just like to keep it there so that I kind of have an idea of what those things are and I can remember them in the future when I have the time or have the ability to do them. Completed are obviously the tasks that I finished, and then my YouTube inbox are my video ideas of things that I want to do in the future. I have the inbox, which is that brain dump section that I showed you guys earlier on the homepage. I've also included my brainstorm stuff in here just so I can see those as well and actually build out those ideas a little bit more. My focus tab is essentially all of the stuff that are within my priority. So when I'm actually working, I like to go to my focus tab and leave this open because it filters out all of the noise and it allows me to look at just the things that I want to get done that day. Then the Kanban workboard is what I showed you guys earlier. I have all, which is just insane to look at. It's just like all the projects that I've ever included, minus the ones that have been archived or have been completed. YouTube inbox, this is again where I keep track of all of my video ideas, both the ones that I think of myself as well as the ones that you guys have recommended me to do. Instagram projects, so these are just projects that require some sort of Instagram content. Then I have a YouTube one as well, so the projects that have YouTube related work. My content calendar is essentially those projects, but filtered by their publish date, so what days I want to publish them on. This just helps me visualize what content I have going out in what weeks so that I can plan when the other content is going to go out. So I filtered out my archived from my all section so that I can have it separately here. So this is all my completed / archived stuff, just so it doesn't clutter up my all any more than it already is. I have it all here. And my archived projects, I just pretty much put all the stuff that I don't need to look at anymore. So any projects that have been completed for a while and I no longer need to worry about it. The next thing is someday maybe. So this is my, like the title suggests, my someday maybe list. So it's a list of goals or tasks that I want to achieve at some point in my life. They could be things like travel plans, they could be things like learning how to ski, learning Italian, learning how to draw. They're just kind of like my overarching tasks and goals that I want to accomplish someday. They probably won't be within the next little while, but it's just nice to have it all here, all my ideas, so that one day I can come back to it. Going back to the homepage, I guess next we can look at my YouTube workspace. So this is a relatively new board for me as well, and I've kept it pretty simple. I probably still will have pieces that I want to add to it, but so far I have the pillars, which are like my thumbnail style guide, my YouTube description bar, and collaborations. And then under content, I have video ideas and videos. And then scrolling to the bottom of the page, I have my content calendar. So this is tied to my project's Kanban board, but essentially it just shows when I expect to publish the projects that I'm currently working on. So I have a property that's published date or publishing date, and that dictates where the task will be in the calendar. The next thing would be my Cashew board, or my 9-to-5 job work board. I actually do have a separate page built out for this. So I have my North Star, so why am I doing what I'm doing, my purpose. I've set some goals for myself for 2021. I wrote here to be intentional about the content that I create, which is I think really important for any marketer to remember. Under pillars, I have website notes, TSB blog strategy, Cashew blog strategy, and Cashew cornerstone audit, which is a new project that we're working on. And then under resources, I have my main workspace, which is like the Kanban board, the database, just like my projects. Truly Small Content is actually a database that I share with my content writer, Terry, and we actually plan all of our ideas and execute them within this Kanban board. It looks pretty much identical to my projects board. but with just slightly different cards and headings and stuff. And then after that, I have my Kashoo content, which is the identical version of the Truly Small content board, but it's obviously just for the Cashew brand rather than the Truly Small brand. And both of these I share with my content writer, and it's what we use mainly to communicate back and forth what projects that we want to work on or that we are working on currently. I'll just quickly show you guys. So this is the Truly Small content board. This is a huge thing that I love about Notion, is that you can share your boards or even your entire workspaces with your team, and you can work collaboratively on these different Kanban boards, pages, databases, etc. So like I said, this is one that I share with Terry. It shares the same format as my projects board. It has the brain dump, it has the all, which is the Kanban, it has the focus tab. So once we have a new idea that we're ready to assign to the other person, for example, if I create a new idea and I'm ready for Terry to work on it and start writing it out, then I can go in and assign it to her, which will send her a notification in her Notion letting her know like, hey, this piece of content is ready for you to be worked on. I love that Notion includes all of these kind of like teamwork, collaboration tools like notifications, like comments, like working collaboratively, all within their software so that we don't ever have to leave Notion to continue to work together. So our flow goes, usually we leave all of our ideas in the brainstorm, and then once she's ready to work on it or it's been assigned to her, she moves it to pipeline, and that's where she can start building out the idea, etc. She can then move it to priorities, which is like, hey, this is, all built out. I'm ready to really sit down and write out this piece of content. We've also created a template for this Kanban board as well. So this includes research, title, outline and notes, and metadata, the things that you would expect for writing a typical blog post. Once she is finished writing it, she then moves it into waiting for and assigns it to me to come back and edit, put in the graphics, etc. And this workflow has been working really, really well for us. It just makes it super simple to share ideas and to work together on a project while keeping track of the timeline, where exactly in the project we're at, and who needs to get what done by when. Going back to the homepage, the next page is my fonts page, which is super plain. It's really just a database of me keeping track of fonts that I've downloaded and that I like. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Still need to add photos and examples of the fonts to this database, but I just haven't had time to do that yet. Next, under life, I have my grocery list. Like, I kid you not when I say I do really track everything within my Notion. So here is just a simple to-do list of things that I need to pick up at the grocery store. This board is actually shared with me, my sister, and my boyfriend Joel. This way, if they ever think of something that they need from the grocery store, if I do, we can add it to the list so that whoever is the next person to go grocery shopping has like a complete list of things that we need to pick up for the house. Under the grocery list, I actually have some menu items, so some recipes that I would like to try throughout the week. This just makes it simple for us to, one, make sure that we're getting all the right ingredients for these recipes, and then two, throughout the week when we're thinking like, okay, so what are we gonna make this week? We already know what recipes we have ingredients for. The next section is my recipes. So this is a database of all the recipes that I wanted to save, that I wanted to try. And I have properties like rating, cooking time, easiness, meal type, dish type, etc. And then once you go into a recipe, you'll see that I have the dish name, ingredients, and instructions that I copied over from wherever that I got it from. And then usually under references, I will just include the link to the original recipe as well, just in case we forget something or if we want to go back and see like where we got the recipe from. This also makes it super simple so that I can just copy these lists of ingredients to my grocery list every week or whenever I need to, and make sure that I'm purchasing the right ingredients. The next thing in my home board is my wish list. So again, a super simple database. Essentially, it's just things that I want to buy, and I like to keep it in this database so that I can track how long I've been wanting it, how much it costs, what category it belongs to. And when I put something in this list, it just helps me kind of remember it, but also I can come back to it, you know, a couple months later or however long later and decide, okay, is this still something that I want to invest in? And if it's been a while and it's still something that I really want, then great, I can purchase it. And it just kind of keeps my shopping, I think, under control a little bit, and I'm not making too many impulsive purchases. Next thing on the list is my coffee database. I just started this, as you guys can see, but I'm essentially just keeping track of the beans that we purchased, the flavors that they have, and a rating, so that I can start to figure out what coffee beans I like. Yeah, super simple. The next page is my Mika page, like really just quite simple. I have a short about section, which includes her dog license number. I have her shot scheduled, which actually she has no more scheduled because she is finished with her puppy shots. And then I have a few databases here, like my puppy feed and potty schedule, which is what we were using before to keep track of every single pee and poo and like feed, so that we can start to develop a strategy and schedule with her. We only did this when she was like a newborn puppy, like we just got her. We're not doing it anymore, but it was really helpful in kind of figuring out a schedule that worked for her as well as for us. The next page is my days page. This is really just a list of, I guess, like journal entries. I really only use Notion to journal when I'm like on the go, or when I just don't have my journal around and I have my phone or my iPad or my computer around. So just for days where I just need to like brain dump some of my thoughts, that's where it goes. The next page is my monthly page, which is just a database currently, but essentially I've just created separate pages for each month to track some of my goals and to-dos of those different months throughout the year. So really this is gonna stay pretty simple. It's just gonna be a list of all of the months. So I can show you quickly here. This is my April page. So I have a little quote, I have a little photo that's inspiring, I have my goals, the books that I want to read, and then I put my fitness log at the bottom as well, which again, it was something pretty new. So I think I'm gonna start creating these monthly spreads just to kind of almost like a mood board for the month, and just collect quotes and information about the different months and what I worked on throughout the year. And that's pretty much it to my home board. Before I finish this video, I want to quickly show you our Zest board as well. For those of you who don't know, Zest is a digital agency that I run with two of my best friends, Terry and Janice. So our Zest board is a space where we work collaboratively. We have our meetings tab, so every time we have a meeting with a new client, we put all of that information here. We actually all hop on our computers, obviously because meetings are virtual now, and we just type notes together within these different documents. So I can go in and sort them by tag and figure out, you know, what exactly was this meeting about. You know, what needs to come of this meeting. It shows the date of the meeting. And then when you're working within the same document in a team space, it actually will show you where you are on the page, like where Janice is on the page and where Terry's on the page. And it's just a great way for us to collaboratively work on a document together. And then once these prospective clients become clients, we move them into project documentation, where we can actually go in and track everything that we do for the client. So building their mood boards, collecting, you know, research for them, notes from meetings that we have with them, even things like if we're building a website, different release versions, when those went out, what changes were made. So this just really helps us keep track of everything that we work on with our clients, what exactly was done, how much we charge, everything under the sun, so that we have all this information for, you know, future inspiration to look back on, whatever it may be. We also sometimes build out separate Kanban boards for more like extensive projects, like this one for our client Drive Motorsports. And then we have a website references page as well, which we just started and is pretty empty right now. So this is still a relatively new workspace that we built out, but we're so excited to continue to document our projects within our Notion together. I just find that this is the best and easiest way for us to work together collaboratively and document collaboratively, work on projects collaboratively. It's the best tool that we've found so far that has all the functions that we need to track, plan and execute projects as a design team. If you guys would like a separate video of how we build out our digital agency's Notion documentation, please let me know and I'd be happy to take you guys through that journey with us as we are just kind of building this new workspace out slowly. I think that Notion is a absolutely amazing tool, whether you are trying to just organize your life personally, whether you are trying to work with a team collaboratively, whether you are a freelancer, an artist, a creative, whatever it is that you do. They just provide so many different ways that you can get organized that I feel like anybody can make use of this tool to get more productive. Again, I'm gonna try to include all of my organization methods as templates in the description box, but if there's anything that you saw that I might have missed, please let me know in the comments down below as well. I've included all of the channels that I personally watched and got inspo from in the description box because I want you guys to go and check out their videos as well. I think everybody talks about it and organizes so differently that it's important to kind of get an all-around look at all the possibilities that you have with Notion. I've also included a link for you guys to use if you want to sign up and start using Notion. And then last but not least, let me know in the comments below if you have tips and tricks to Notion, if you are using Notion currently, and then if you found this video helpful. All right, that's it. I hope you guys are having an amazing day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.